Good morning, good morning. My name's John Wright, and it is 3/3 of 2024. And I'm here this morning, and what I've done is I realized that they plastered my face across the United States of America. I know that these people in Lewis County, Washington, has done a job on the United States of America, and they should be brought up on treason charges. Anybody that does this to somebody that's a witness in a homicide from 1975. Terry Lance Shortridge was murdered on my bed in Morton, Washington. They covered up the D.B. Cooper crime right there in Lewis County, Washington. There's a bowling alley that's down at the cemetery, Millhouse Smokehouse, Morton, Washington. It's been renamed after Richard Millhouse Nixon. They've used me in that community and an area where if anybody comes back and they tell me and I come forward to the law enforcement officers and stuff, they put a hit on people and people die, and there's a lot of people that's dead in Lewis County, Washington, including a girlfriend of mine. I call her a girlfriend. She came down and had a sexual experience with me, and then she ended up with her hands and feet cut off and placed next to the neighbors that I lived next to when Terry Lance Shortridge was murdered. And then when they did a upgrade on the photograph and stuff of her imaging, I seen Lisa's face. I didn't know her number, her name, but I called the Morton Hospital and they contacted me. Roger Morningstar, the chief of police, called me back on my phone personally. It's a Magic Jack phone number, by the way. And he calls me up and he demands to know what I'm talking about in Morton, Washington. Then he calls me up to have me murdered. And then all of this comes to light, what this is about. And also, I had already come forward about the Merwins case, and Bruce Kimsey had brushed it off. He ran me through the ringer. They put me on the run. They stole my son from me. And if they'll do this to your family, and they'll do this to my family, they'll do this to anyone's family. It's the cops and the drug dealers, and we're the piece of pie in the center of it. And they used people like me to threaten the community. If anything gets back like a leak, somebody's going down. My name's John Wright. If it wasn't so, this picture right here wouldn't look so much like this guy that's standing right here before you. And can't you hear the goddamn music when it's talking to you right in the face? This is about John F. Kennedy. This is about the Zodiac killer. This is about D.B. Cooper. This is about Donald Trump. Flying around in 727s that he collects, and he probably has the hijacker's actual airplane. A Boeing 727 that was used on 11/24 of 1971, and I was being held away from my family, and my family was gone. I was in Morton, Washington, on Division Street where Jim Kaiser now lives, and Jim Kaiser lives right there where Terry Shortridge was murdered. Terry Lance Shortridge, John F. Kennedy, Lancer is his middle name, the code name. This is the Zodiac killer. This is about Twin County credit unions in the Pacific Northwest. This is about money laundering to the Middle East. This is about 21 credit unions. The 21st one is shut down, and Donald Trump has these numbers that comes up to 21, 20, and they're doing this QAnon. It's a language that I hear about all the time now in news, and I was before it. I heard about it. I fucking discovered it all on my own. I brought it up to my brother-in-law, and they're living by signs. I already know it because we live at Delphi and Alpine. Well, Alpine Bowls out there in Morton, Washington. I got a 37-foot motorhome right here that I put a bowling alley scene on the side of it. It says Morton, Washington outside. The cops have been sitting across the street at the fire hall. You talk about a person that's been put on lockdown. I haven't been in a store for over 10 years. Matter of fact, I gave a Corvette away to witness one of my family members destroy it, trying to point out what they're doing. And I'm sitting here thinking, Jesus Christ, they destroyed a 1985 Corvette that was in fairly really good condition. I mean, I drove it for years. To watch it be dismantled in fucking 40 days, witness being destroyed, and then being told, I'll give you your car back and I'll dump gasoline over it. If somebody out there doesn't think that they're being threatened, and by the way, I've witnessed so many threatening things, and I'm telling you the truth. Hezbollah's in Morton, Washington. If it wasn't so, I wouldn't be here. And by the way, Millhouse Smokehouse, Morton, Washington. It's renamed after Millhouse Nixon, the president that had to resign over Watergate. He was also the president that was involved with John F. Kennedy's election. And by the way, Johnson, the President Johnson, Johnson's highway market up there in Port Angeles, Washington. Our house on 5th and Gale Street, halfway down 5th and East Gale Street in Port Angeles, Washington. Right there's the highway market. They got stones around it marking the Zodiac's territory. There's stones up there in the Morton Bowling Alley that was there. They've buried them in the parking lot and stuff, hiding what there was, all the clues and stuff that my dad left there. I'm still here. You know, when they put somebody on the run, and by the way, I notified the government prior to all of this explosion in the Middle East and everything that's gone on, and I've got harassed here on a daily basis. You should watch the videos. Check out all the videos, because as I figured this out, I'm putting it out there. They came in my house, they arsoned it, they destroyed my diary. I've even been asked, why do I have my diary online? I said, because you guys came in and arsoned my home. My family won't sit here and look at me straight in the eye because I'm sitting here telling the truth. And by the way, you talk about alienation of affections. I haven't been in a store in over 10 years. You know what? It's so different to interact with people. And when people meet me, and they goddamn meet me, they fucking smile and they greet me. I'm something that Donald Trump isn't. I'm not a thief, and I'm not a ripoff. And I've had a gold mine ripped off in Nevada that's worth millions upon millions and possibly billions that Donald Trump doesn't have. He lives in negative land. And why has this happened to me? Why have I been blackballed? I have been blackballed, and that's against the law, period. You know, I would sure like to have my life back, and I'd sure like to see Americans have their life back too. The police departments, if you're dirty, put your guns down and quit hiding behind your badges and get some ethics. Because ethics is something that you have a lack of. Because why? Your dads had lack of ethics, and they taught you to do the same thing and cover up crimes after crimes after crimes, and it don't fucking pay to bury things, because here we are today, and here you've got George L. Wright's son, the guy that was forced to be the Zodiac, the guy that was forced to do things. And by the way, my dad was a daredevil. My dad was a daredevil. And by the way, my mother, you talk about the Barnum Bailey Circus, my mother was a Madison. They married into the Barnum Bailey Circus, and you know what? That was just no more than a airplane stunt. One stunt after another stunt, so you'll forget the next stunt. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to cut it off right now, because why? Well, it's under 10 minutes. I don't want you to get lost in it, and feel free to contact me. You know what? Cooper's Air Force 101, often imitated, never duplicated. You know, there's a lot of people that says, oh, he was my son. Oh, he was this, he was that. I'll tell you what the motivation was. I'll show you where the money went. Morton, Washington, you look at that bowling alley right there, $160,000. $40,000 went to the cops. I listened to the deal. I listened to it. By the way, they call me, he's stupid, he's blind, he's dumb, he don't know nothing, he won't say any goddamn thing. He won't say a fucking word. You know, I've been threatened with my family all my life, and they're like, you know, they would say stuff like, Don't you remember this guy's murder? Don't you remember this guy's murder? And do you know what they do to narcs? You know what? I don't know what they do to narcs because I didn't sit around narking to people. They were narcs working for the cops, little pigs in blankets. Little Boy Scouts that went astray, possibly Girl Scouts too. Like mother, like father. And by the way, I see people all the time. They stop, they wave. I put a little reader board outside here that says thank you and all that stuff. And I'm John Wright, and they're not. And when I see them acting like they're me and telling stories that's actually about me, I ask them, so what are you talking about? I'm John Wright, and you're not. And by the way, since I'm John Wright and they're not, I can tell the truth and they can't. And by the way, if it was so, they'd come over and I'd have Thanksgiving with them. I'd have Christmas with them. I'd give them a goddamn Christmas present. Because I'd like to see the look on their face when they get one from me. Because they can't even face me. They can't lace up my boots because they can't tell the truth because they've been forced to comply. Or what? They die. There's my brother's face right there. That's Jerry L. Wright's face. He hides on the Middle Fork Road behind a barbed wire fence because he's scared of the truth and he's scared of me. And they put my face on this, and he thought he was so funny in court because he's as dirty as a little dirty pig in a blanket. And if something terrible happens to Jerry Wright, like he gets hung by a rope for being such as what he is, the Cooper Zodiac killer connected him and his dirty mother. Hey, you know what? My name's John Wright. I'm telling the truth. And if it wasn't so, there wouldn't be a cup of coffee here. And by the way, Maxwell House, it's the blue brand, and it goes all the way this year. Let's just go blue because you know what? We can't trust the Republicans until they get reinvented, clean out their closet. I was a Republican. I just recently had to re-register the vote real soon. And remember, do what you can for your country and don't let people buffalo you. My name's John Wright, and they're not. John T. Wright, and I'm at YouTube.